Welcome, thanks for joining. Thanks for coming to Deep Release. So tonight we'll be going through a sequence of rolling, yin yoga postures, and then a guided Shavasana Yoga Nidra. And tonight's practice is going to be focusing on the low back region. So what we'll work on tonight is unsticking the rib cage from the pelvis by getting into the Quadratus Lumborum area with some rolling. And then we'll get into some side waist opening and twisting. So for tonight's practice, you have a few different options that you can use to get into the side waist. I'm going to use the Tune Up Fitness Alpha Ball. This is about a softball in size. If you only have a tennis ball, third size, lacrosse ball, or smaller therapy ball, you can keep your balls toted, or you could untote it. I sometimes like to keep it toted if I use a smaller one, then I can wiggle it around in there a little bit, and you can place it on a block or a couple books, and I'll show you that when we get there. And then we may use the foam roller as well, or the foam roller alternative, but I'm going to put my foam roller aside for now. And then I'm sitting up on my blanket. So make sure you have a blanket accessible to come into some of your side waist opening postures. We'll do some seated side bends, and it's nice to have the pelvis elevated so that you can slightly tip the pelvis forward to maintain normal spinal curves. But to begin, let's find our way to our back. And as you find your way to your back, have your therapy ball nearby, but we're not going to use any props to begin. We're just going to explore a little movement on our backs as we arrive. So just arrive flat onto your back. Let your body come into support. Find Shavasana. Begin this sequence in Shavasana. Beginning the cycle, starting again, letting go of anything that came before or anything that's waiting for you after. Lean into the external support of the earth beneath you, feeling the heels, calves, pelvis, spine, back of the arms and back of the head, heavy on the surface they're resting upon. Notice if you're using any effort to hold yourself up, and just let go and lean into support. Let go of doing, striving, or acting, and just allow yourself to arrive in being here, right now. Taking a full breath in and full breath out through the mouth. Do that a few times, scanning the body. Noticing for any areas of tension, anything that's calling your attention. And then place your hands on your body where it feels nurturing. Show yourself some gratitude, some loving kindness, some gentleness with yourself as you arrive. Listening to the sensations of your body, ask yourself, what do you need for this practice? How can I support myself, care for myself, be gentle, with myself for the next hour or so as we move through this practice, feeding myself and giving myself exactly what I need in this moment. Affirm that intention now. Breathe it in and let it go. Coming back to this intention throughout the practice, giving attention to our intention as we explore the sensations and movements of our bodies. Take the arms out to a capital T. Turn the palms down to give you a little stability and ground. Keep the shoulders grounded on the earth. But then bring the feet towards the floor so that you bend the knees. Make your feet about as wide as your mat, maybe even slightly wider. And then let's start to explore the movement in the lower half of the body. So we'll stabilize the upper half as we, with the arms pressing into the floor like a T, as we start to rock our knees from side to side, feeling the pelvis go in one direction and then the other. Feeling space between the rib cage and the pelvis. Noticing, sensing, observing, without judging, without efforting. Maybe you add a little pause at the end range of the motion as you twist one way, pressing your foot into the floor so that you get a little more length through your thigh. Feel the glute just barely engage, pressing away from your knee. And then push through the opposite foot. Feel how much length there is between the side waist. Doing that a few times each way. Sensing into the space between the rib cage and the pelvis. And then returning to center, feeling the low back sink into the floor. We'll build upon that with some self-myofascial release work. So take your therapy ball. Again, I'm taking the alpha ball from Tune Up Fitness right into my low back in that space between the pelvis and the rib cage. And it's only about halfway under my back. So it's sticking out a bit so that as I rock my legs over to the left, my side body starts to rock onto the alpha ball. If you don't have a ball, and if you have this and you're set up, just start gently rocking towards the edge, dancing with the edge, exploring the edge, coming into sensation and then off a sensation. If you don't have that, you could take a block and you could take a standard therapy ball and you could place it up there. I have to lift myself up a little bit when I do this, and you can do that same thing. It's going to bring you into a little bit more extension, but it's also accessible in this way. But I much prefer the single ball. And so bump up against the edge. I'm going to rock to the left first since that's the side facing you. Coming into that lower trunk rotation, letting the shoulders stay grounded so the pelvis drags away from the rib cage. And like I said, make sure it's out to the side a bit so that as you rotate to the side, the pressure of the ball comes right into that area between the rib cage and the pelvis. We're rocking right into that side seam of the body. And then when you feel like you can stay there, pause. Can you send your breath right to where the ball and body meet? Using sustained compression to allow a sinking of your weight into the pressure of the ball. Feeling the tissues at that juxtaposition between ball and body begin to soften and disperse, allowing the ball to sink in deeper. And then maybe drag your top leg, for me it's the right leg, towards the bottom leg to meet it. If your knees can't come together or can't touch the floor, you can prop just a little bit. My block's a little too big, so a blanket is nice to have something that's adjustable. I'm just going to throw my other set of therapy balls under my leg so that I just can lean into the surface beneath me, so that I use as little energy as necessary, doing only as much as I have to, easing in instead of efforting or forcing in, letting the body open up through softening and welcoming. Welcome the sensation in that place in the low back, right along the side seam of the body between the rib cage and the pelvis. Take about 3 more deep feeling breaths here, expanding that place right at the edges of the ball. And then taking my top arm to meet the bottom, coming right onto my side. Now the ball is right in that space along the side. This is another place where you could use the foam roller to fill that space. And then if it feels nice, use your block or blanket to prop the head to keep a neutral spinal position. And again, now feel more pressure into the side waist. Send your breath and your awareness to that side waist area on the underside. So for me, it's the left. And maybe rock your way in there a little bit. What happens when you tip the pelvis forward and tip the pelvis back? Rocking forward and back. Flossing the ball into that space in the side waist. Pausing and breathing, observing if there's any increased tension or guarding. If there's anywhere that you feel increased tension, can you just soften 10% more? If you find that you're pulling away from the prop because it's too intense, you can pat it with a blanket. That might be a nice variation here if this is an area that feels untouched for you, or if the sensation is causing you to guard. Notice the jaw, And notice the glutes, notice the shoulders. Allow all those areas of tension to soften and melt away as you sink your body weight into the earth. And then now keep the top leg bent and straighten the bottom. And notice where the body wants to go. You may find yourself coming into a little twist as you start to tweeze the upper body away from the lower body. I'd encourage you to sweep the top arm up overhead, keeping it connected to the floor. Fingertips tent, kind of like you're clawing a chalkboard, coming like a sun up and overhead. And pause at that place just before the hands want to come off the floor. And take a few deep breaths. Seeing if you can lengthen out just a tiny bit more. Feeling the inhale lengthen the body in all directions. Take 3 more breaths, returning your attention to your intention, bringing your awareness right to where ball and body meet. And then maybe completing that circle all the way around, coming into is this supine twist position, pausing there for a moment, noticing a different angle, seeing if you can drop right into that space where ball and body meet. And then drawing the arm around, coming back toward your side. Now we'll engage the bottom leg just to give a little pull. From the bottom, we just give it this pull from the top. Now, reach through the heel, lengthen that bottom leg as much as possible, and now lift the bottom foot up towards the sky. Hold for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then release. And then do that again. Reach the foot up towards the sky. Feel increased pressure into where the ball and body meets. 3, 2, 1, and release. Reposition the ball as necessary, right into that side seam of the body, lying right over it. Foam roller could work, or a smaller set of therapy balls propped up onto a book or block. Last time, lift. Holds, feel the inner thigh engage and feel the lengthening in that underside waist. Increase pressure into where ball and body meet. For 3, 2, 1. And then release all of the props. Return onto your back. Let your body return to that initial shape of Shavasana. Integrating all of the sensations, observing the benefits of the practice. Sense the difference between the left and the right. Feel the asymmetry. Maybe there's a change in breath, change in where the body touches the earth. If you slide your hands under your low back, you may notice a huge difference between the left side and the right side. taking a moment to return back into a position of complete support, integrating this work, and then letting it go, beginning again. We'll start anew on the other side. I'll turn around. You can stay right where you are, but I want you to be able to see me. And we'll bend our knees, taking your ball right into the side waist so it's sticking out from your side. And then as you rock over towards it, the side waist comes into the ball. So legs are a little wide, arms are out like a T. Press the palms down if that's accessible so that you feel the upper body feel grounded, and then you separate the pelvis from the rib cage. Letting the legs rock to the side, coming right to that edge of sensation, then returning back to center. And then when it feels right, pausing at the end range, maybe letting the right knee drop down to the earth. Feeling the body melt into the surface of the ball. Letting go of efforting, arriving at this first edge. Welcoming the sensations of the body as the messengers, directing you to what to do next. Maybe the top leg comes to meet the bottom. If your feet don't quite meet the earth, your knees don't quite meet the earth, you can take a prop. So here my knees don't quite go all the way down. I'll take a blanket so that I can bring the surface up to meet me, so that I can sink in just a little bit more. Feeling the external support of the props allows me to let go of that efforting. Using gravity, time, and your breath as the drivers for release. Let go of the need to think anything, do anything, change anything. Just be with yourself. Come back to that felt sense of placing your hands on you in a nurturing way. How can you nurture yourself in this exact posture? What external support do you need? What internal support do you have? Find the breath to support you. Lean into the floor. Notice if you're holding yourself up at all. If so, surrender. And let go. Bring your attention back to that point where ball and body meet. And then take out the prop, rolling right to your side, letting that ball come into the underside of the waist. I'm going to prop my head, again, lying on my side so my head can stay in alignment with my spine. Oh, and I'll just show you a little modification if it's suitable. So if that's really intense, this is where you could just take your blanket, put the blanket right over the ball, and then lean back over it, patting it a bit. so that you can meet the pressure of the ball without any guarding. Being curious and exploring the sensation. So if you notice yourself tensing against that sensation, give yourself the appropriate external support. Whether it's patting, whether it's changing balls. A softer ball here, such as the Gorgeous ball, could also be really great. And take a few deep breaths, returning to stillness. Feeling the sustained compression of the ball go right into the side waist. And then floss that ball in there a little bit by tipping the pelvis forward, tucking the tailbone under. Little cat and cow on your side. You can even move the rib cage if you want to make it a full spinal cat and cow, or it could just be a little pelvic tilt. Listening to what your body is asking for, making this movement authentic and spontaneous. Being curious about the sensations. And first, doing no harm. So meeting yourself with an attitude of loving kindness and curiosity. Welcoming everything that's arising. Pointing you back to your intention, to what you need in this exact moment. And when you're ready, top knee bends, bottom knee straightens. You may find that you come into a little bit of a twist, so the top knee could come to your blanket or the floor. And then you may feel the ribs rotate back a little bit as you circle the arm up, touching the floor, back, staying in touch with the floor, and maybe just come all the way around one time and do that a couple times to find that just right spot to land. Up, back, lengthening from heel to fingertips, finding as much length in the side waist, using the hands on the floor like a little claw to press off of, to give you increased proprioception or orientation in space. Coming up and then holding there, breathing in, feeling the length on both the top and bottom side waist. Letting breath move into that space where ball and body meet, expanding in the belly. Creating an internal massage as well as an external massage. Letting go from the inside out and then circling around. Pausing in that supine twist, reaching the arm back behind you for a minute, observing maybe even a little bit more separation. Just taking a couple breaths here. And then coming all the way back to your side. Take your top hand as a little support. Flex the bottom foot. Feel that foot lift up towards the sky. Hold for 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And release. Reposition. Find that just right spot for the ball. Notice that as you lift the foot, the increased pressure into that space where ball and body meet. Lift your bottom foot. Hold for 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and release. And then one more round. Lift and hold. 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and down. Remove all of the props. Return onto your back. Coming back into your Shavasana, momentary Shavasana. Pausing and noticing. And let's do one more rolling technique. We'll come into the gluteal area by taking a single therapy ball right into the middle of the glute. Keeping both knees bent. Start to sway the knees to one side as you sway the hips to the other, sweeping across the back of the glutes. So sweeping across the gluteals, the hip rotators, including the piriformis. First sweeping here. Coming right to the edge of the outside of the hip bone, right from sacrum to hip bone, covering that whole territory. And then finding that just right spot of sensation, dropping the pelvis back down. And now again, just as we began with the Quadratus lumborum, or that low back area, rotating the legs over. Feeling as the legs fall out to the side, increase weight into where the ball and body meet, pausing at that just right spot. And then let the knees come down to the floor. Let's just do a little contract, relax here. Squeeze the buttocks where the ball and body meet. You squeeze so tight that it actually pushes the ball out. So it almost is like you're levitating over the ball. Contracting there, holding it. After contraction comes relaxation. So turn down the volume of that contraction, sink in a little bit more. Stay here or do a couple more rocks, finding that just right point of sensation, bumping up against the edge of sensation. That's sustainable but sensational, so that you can be curious and explore into it. And then coming off. And then next time you come in, arriving at your edge, activating that muscle at the edge, holding it. 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and release. Staying here or again rocking in and out, whatever the body's asking. Listen to the sensations. What will make you feel free and easy? What feels natural without effort? And then one more time we'll contract. This time I'm going to contract the butt, but I'm also going to push the hip down into the floor to encourage that external rotation, engaging the external rotators of the hip for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then release. Take the ball out, let the legs come down for a moment, and just feel the difference from left to right side. Feel the difference in the side of the hip. The buttocks may even feel a little deflated. I came into the outer hip because I'm going to integrate the outer hip opening with the side waist opening. These are an extension of one another. They feed into one another. And everything in the body is connected. So working that whole part of the chain from the pelvis into the side waist between the pelvis and rib cage. So now take the therapy ball right into the buttocks on the other side and sweep yourself from sacrum to back of the hip, moving the whole pelvis. While the rib cage and shoulders stay grounded, just move the pelvis side to side. So sweeping it in this side to side direction. So one side lengthens, then the other side lengthens. So we're freeing, even in this action, the pelvis from the rib cage as we sweep across the glutes. You get to control exactly how much weight you put into the ball. So if you look at me, I'm moving smoothly across so I can grade the amount of gravity, the amount of weight that I put in. So you choose that just right amount that you feel the sensation, but you're not tightening against it. Keeping the body soft and pliable, allowing and exploring rather than forcing or retracting or averting the sensation. So notice if there's that moving away from rather than leaning in. And if you're pulling back and reacting, if the body is in this reacting and tightening, you begin fighting yourself. So see if you can meet yourself exactly where you are. And then take that ball right into that sensational spot, bring the hips back down, and just as we began that last series, let the knees rock. And then come back. Rocking and finding your edge, finding a sustainable but sensational edge. Engage that edge of mobility and that edge of sensation, which is a yin technique. And then engage the buttocks. So now we'll use neuromuscular principles here to contract in that end range. Activate the musculature, engaging, because after contraction comes relaxation. So contract for 3, 2, 1, and then churn down the volume of that contraction. Let go and sink into where ball and body meet. Stay here or do a couple rocks to find that just right next point of sensation. You can take your hand and move the ball into a different place in the gluteals and hip rotators. And roll into that place, finding that edge, contracting at that edge. Maybe this time the knee pushes down to the floor to engage the hip rotators as well as the glutes. So you kind of squeeze the butt, then push down so that you get that hip rotation as well. We're engaging in hip rotation externally because in a moment we're going to integrate some internal hip rotation. Hold for 3, 2, 1, and then release all the way. One more time, we'll do the rocking and contract, relax, staying in that spot or finding that just right spot of sensation that makes you feel curious and want to lean into it. If that sensation becomes pain, if there's any averting from that sensation or tensing against it, usually that happens around like a 6 out of 10 in sensation. Back off. You are in complete control. And when you arrive there at that just right spot, press, squeeze the buttocks, press the knee down, engage the back of the hip, hold for 7, 3, 2, 1, and release. Beautiful. Come off. Let go of all the balls. We are done rolling for today. Find a momentary shavasana. Completely melt. All of the efforting that you will do in this practice is now done. As we move into the yin portion of our practice, we'll be easing in, softening into our edge, letting go of muscular effort, letting gravity and time unwind the body. So when you're ready, moving very gently, very slowly, using as little muscular effort as possible, bend the knees, turn to your side, arrive in sitting. You can take your blanket underneath the pelvis to lift the pelvis up slightly. We'll first come into a very simple, one of my favorite yin postures, a great way to begin almost all yin practices because it addresses multiple meridians, as well as it creates that internal gaze and introspective awareness. We'll come into a very gentle butterfly. So in yin, legs are in a diamond shape, almost like a square shape. Knees are bent about 90 degrees. Hips are elevated so you feel the sit bones pressing in, maintaining normal curves of the spine. And then I like to cascade down head, neck, shoulders, shoulder blades, feeling each segment cascade off the bottom one until you're hanging head heavy. Shake the head no. Bring your gaze towards your navel, moving into center. If there's any discomfort in the head or neck, you could prop the head with a block. Typically in yin, we try to find that edge first that's sustainable, and if we need external support, we add the external support of a prop. But if there's no discomfort, just sensation that allows you to feel supported, safe, and secure, you can keep the head unsupported. If the knees are uncomfortable or hips are uncomfortable, you could also prop under the knees with blocks or blankets. But traditionally, we let gravity pull the hips open a little bit more. And send all of your awareness to that space that we focused our rolling. That space between the rib cage and the pelvis in the back body.
Send your gaze right into the navel, and then from the navel right back into the spine, sensing the kidneys fill those locations. Sending awareness into the kidneys. Our energy regulation system, our internal vitality system for the body. Think about this turning inward as a recharging, re-energizing. Come back to your intention here, asking yourself, what do I need from this practice? And what do I need in this pose to make it sustainable? To let go 10% more. To re-energize and recharge myself. Notice if there's anywhere of tension, protection, any aversion or striving. What attitude are you meeting yourself? Can you meet yourself with kindness, with curiosity, with generosity, non-judgment, welcoming everything, being with yourself as you are right now. Take 3 more breaths here. Extending the exhale. Feeling the inhale fill the back. And then with your hands pressing down to the floor, walking yourself up. Letting the head be the last thing to rise. And then now take the right leg, tuck the right foot in towards the left hip, and then now cross the left knee over the right. If the pelvis can't sit flat on the blanket, make it a little higher, or maybe place a block underneath your hips, or if you still cannot find a balanced position of the pelvis, just kick that bottom leg out. The bottom leg out is a nice variation. You can move there at any time. And now, ground both hands into the earth, and then reach the left arm up overhead, and then slide the right hand out, 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 and then let the left arm just move with you. Shake the head no. Maybe you stay propped up on your hand. Maybe your elbow comes towards the floor. If you start to lose that connection with the earth, maybe find that block again. Let your elbow come to the block. And just arrive at that first edge. We'll spend a couple minutes here. And we'll be able to explore this posture and allow it to change with time. So observe where you're feeling it in the body. as you bump up against this edge, what is your response? Are you doing so kindly? Is there any judgment? Is there any internal struggle? Are you pushing? Are you pulling away? Just notice. Notice those internal processes that are happening. Use it as self-inquiry to be curious. Using our mat and our body as a laboratory to see how we react and respond in ordinary life. Coming to know ourselves better through this practice. If the head feels like it needs support, the bottom hand could come to it, or the top arm could wrap around the bottom of the neck and then let the head hang. Can you send all your awareness to the space in the left side waist? Pulling apart the fibers from the outside of the left hip that we did with that hip opening into the space between the rib cage and the pelvis. Lengthening out through the elbow. Can you spread into the ribs on the left side like you're spreading the gills of a fish with every inhalation and exhalation, allowing the ribs to breathe. How can you soften 10% more? Can you bring your attention to your intention of opening the left side waist? Bringing all of your awareness there, feeling each breath fill and spread the space between the ribs and the pelvis. Taking 3 more breaths. Letting that breath just sigh out. Feeling the resonance of that breath, the vibration. Move through the body, unsticking anything that's still dense or dark or hard. And then now bring your hands to the floor. Walk yourself forward, coming into that forward fold again, giving yourself a little hug. Maybe even bringing your chin or your forehead to your knee. Feeling that length in the back body again. Pausing for just a couple of breaths here. Contracting after that expansion. And then rising up slowly. Use your hands to uncross your legs. Maybe even in sitting, give yourself a hug or rock the knees side to side. Returning to stillness, returning to center, maybe even returning to seated meditation as you integrate all of the feels. And when you're ready, beginning again. Without expectation, just coming to the other side. The beginner's mind, curious about what's going to arise. Take the left foot to the outside of the right hip and then cross the right knee over the left. The left leg, the bottom leg, could always lengthen out in front of you. You can also prop your hips up a little bit higher. If you liked the block or a bolster or something on the other side. Bring it there now as you reach the right arm up overhead. Slide the left arm out, creating length first from the left fingertips to the left sit bone. Engaging the edge and then softening into it. Let go of the head. Soften the jaw. Can you find a little bit of pleasure here? Softness and playfulness. Exploring with curiosity all of the sensations that are arising in the body. Specifically in that space between the right sit bone and the right elbow. Sending all of your breath into the space between the pelvis and the ribs. Using the breath to create an internal massage. Freeing yourself from the inside out. Let your awareness follow your breath. Attention supporting our intention. Feeling how that edge of sensation changes. Noticing the body soften at the edge. If there's a struggle or an increasing intensity, it means you've come too far. So back out to find a place that feels sustainable. And then move back into that new edge. Allowing your body to soften there. And feel the surrender with each exhale. Breathe into the ribs on the right like you're moving the gills of a fish. Feeling the breath spread each rib from the one beside it. Find a little sound. Use vibration to unstick anything. Taking one more round of breath, let it all go. And then let yourself fold forward again after expansion. And broadening, find contraction. After being open, allow yourself to close. Moving through the natural rhythm of things. Expansion, contraction. Revealment, concealment. And then rising slowly, make your way towards your back for our final asana. Maybe have your blanket or your block nearby as you unfurl the legs. Roll slowly onto your back. Hug your knees into the chest. Feel the spine completely supported on the earth beneath you. And then cross the left leg over the right. If you can double cross the legs, get that eagle legs, you can do that now. Bring the arms out like a T. Again, arms stay connected to the earth. And then now, let the legs come over to the right. So left legs crossed over the right. Legs are coming down towards the floor or towards a block. Keeping the shoulders connected to the earth. Tuck the knees up towards the chest a bit so that you don't extend the spine, but that there's a lengthening in that back body, reinforcing that opening that we spent so much time on. And then in this twist, in this final spinal twist, send all of the awareness right to your navel. With each breath, feel a wringing out from center, a complete washing out and letting go. Like you're wringing out a dish towel, wring out the entire abdomen, allowing the pelvis to go one way, wringing the ribs the other. Letting your body be as heavy as possible. Sinking into the support of the earth. Absolutely nothing to do. Let the ground catch you. Instead of working into the twist, can you just surrender to the floor? And notice the change that happens as you change your perspective. How can you let go 10% more? Eliminating what we no longer need to make room to be made new, to begin again. Returning to your intention again. What do I need in this moment? Giving yourself exactly what you need for the next 3 breaths. And then pulling the knees into chest, returning to center. Uncross the legs. Do whatever you need to do to prepare for the other side. Taking the right knee over the left now. Wrapping the shins if that's accessible. Coming into that double twist if you have it. And then taking whatever prop you need over to the left and letting the legs drop towards the floor or towards a prop. Keeping the right shoulder grounded. Surrendering. The efforting is done. Ease into the support of the ground. Let your breath wring out any last bit of tension, protection, tightness. Let go into ease and into support. Slowly untwisting the legs, allowing yourself to come all the way onto your back, arriving right where we started, finding now your final Shavasana. Set yourself up so that you feel completely supported by the surface you're resting on. You can place a support under your knees. You can cover yourself with a blanket. Asking yourself, how can I be 10% more comfortable and at ease? Letting go completely in order to completely open, to completely receive, to be nourished by this practice, inside and out. Awaken those senses of reception, feeling the support beneath you, feeling the breath within you, hearing the support of my guidance, welcoming images that move across the back of the eyelids. Even welcoming taste and smell.
And from this place of support, recall your intention. Affirm that intention as met, as attained in this present moment. And how that intention supports your purpose for this life, of living a life of purpose, meaning, and value. And remembering that you are complete. That you have everything you need already within you. Return to that felt sense of support, of ground, of completeness, where you can be completely open and at ease. Feel that place as an inner resource of well-being that you can return to at any time. Letting go of any thinking, resting into support and sensation. Sense the feet, left foot, right foot, heavy and at ease. Left calf, right calf, heavy, supported and at rest. Sensing the left thigh, right thigh, dropping into the ground. Feel the left hip sinking into the socket of the pelvis, pelvis sinking into the floor. Sensing the right hip, ball sinking into the socket, and socket of the pelvis dropping into the floor. Sense the entire lower body heavy, supported, and at ease. Feel the weight of the sacrum, the breadth of the bowl of the pelvis. Allow the pelvic bowl to be supported and heavy on the earth. Let the abdomen and all of its contents be heavy, sinking towards the earth. Let the heart and lungs surrender into the support behind them. Let the entire torso be heavy and at ease.
Let the left hand and arm be heavy, supported, and at rest. Let the right arm fall into the floor, heavy, supported, and at ease. Letting go completely through both arms. Let the head, the jaw, the tongue, the eyes, the brain, all sink backwards into the back of the skull and then into the earth. The entire front body sinking into the back body, sinking into the floor. Allow the entire body to be cradled, to be held, to be supported. Rest. Let go. Abide in this support. You are complete. Staying here as long as you'd like. Thank you for your practice. Namaste.